name is Spieler Becken, the Rabbi from Another Planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I watched Watchmen last night. Watchmen season 1, there's only been one season, episode 6. Now, I liked last week a lot. I thought it really, really worked. And I liked elements of this week's episode, I really did. But it can't really get over the drag factor of being a show supposedly about racism, which is devoid of any understanding of racism. You know, that's really the problem. Yeah, it's devoid of understanding about the people who are the victims of racism, what racism is, and why people are racist. Now, I can understand why in 2019 it's hard to understand how and why people are racist. I don't understand what it is about somebody's skin color that would make somebody not like them, make them upset. I don't understand it, but that's the way I was raised, and I think that's indicative of the world we live in. We don't live in this world that Damon Lindelof believes we live in. We just not. I mean, again, we live in a world so far removed from. I don't want to talk about the Western world. We live in a world so far removed from racism. I don't understand the motivations of somebody who doesn't like black people. I don't understand. Now, that's not to say that you can't look at different segments of society and they have different problems in those societies. And it's a bit like I live in Israel, and it's again we have lots of very different societies. There's one group called the Haredim, which are ultra orthodox religious. So I used to be part of that society. It's I wasn't brought up in that when I first became religious when I was like 19, 20. That's where I naturally gravitated to. Because so that's a whole other story. But they have a problem where they mostly don't work. They mostly are unemployed because they spend their time studying the Bible, studying the Torah, the thing called Gemara. They live in full-time learning, and they don't work. So the result of that, there's poverty, is a major issue in their community. And there's a whole bunch of other geopolitical stuff built into that. But you can look at different segments of the population and say, different people have different problems. And yeah, listen, for most of the episode, it was set in the 1930s, 1940s. Was it post World War II? I'm not sure. It was set right at like the Minutemen era. So yeah, no, absolutely, there were lynchings then. Yeah, there were people who would lynch black people, and there was racism there, 100%. Not that there isn't racism now, but there was racism then as a much more open and socially acceptable thing. Yes, I agree with that. I don't think that's the world we live in today. But my problem with the episode was it was too superficial. It was so superficial. It was deeply insulting. It didn't go into the motivations of why you had these people hating black people. It didn't talk about what was going on ahead. And what's going on ahead is that's your story. That's the interesting story, because nobody does anything without reason. Now, okay, let me talk about the good things about the episode. I thought the things that could have been good. The secret origin of Hooded Justice. Now, again, I haven't gone into details, so I guess this isn't a spoiler review, but I haven't got it, I'm just assuming you've seen it. They went into like the secret origin of Hooded Justice. I didn't really buy it, but the idea could have been done well. Like the thing, Hooded Justice was a very, very big, muscular man. And the guy who was being him wasn't that big. He wasn't that muscular, so it didn't work. And like I didn't really buy the grease paint. Okay, what he did was he pretended he was white, and so even though he was wearing a hood, and he put white person makeup around his eyes. So when they saw his eyes, he looked white. I just don't believe that would practically work. And okay, so the real problem with the episode is that the characters were hollow and empty, and they weren't really characters. They had this main character who was Hooded Justice. You didn't. There were lots of like jarring leaps that I couldn't get over. Like I don't understand. He was okay. It starts off at towards the beginning. He's becomes one of the first black policemen in New York, even though he's got this like sketchy background, and yeah, I don't know how he got into police academy, but he did. Fine, okay, I don't understand that, but that was like kind of a logical leap to get over. But fine. And then, but then after he was on the beat, on the beat, being a cop. There's this white racist guy, and I don't know why I need to say white racist guy because every white person in this I think was racist and evil in some way or another, who like firebombed a Jewish kosher deli. And later in the episode, it turns out because he had his own deli, but that's just ridiculous because like he's not going to get the customers who will go to the kosher deli to come to his deli, so therefore he just wanted to blow up this Jewish establishment. But the thing is, he did it completely blatantly without a care in the world, which is just that's a major crime, and I don't think you'll be able to get away with that quite as easily as they did. So then he brings him in, and he calls him like was it some racial name? Calls him a spook, which I actually didn't know that was I never heard that before. Actually, no, I did. I heard it in a Clint Eastwood, but I never heard that as a racial epithet before. But okay, fine, you live and learn. And then this guy who makes him apologize, but then the policeman who makes him apologize turns out that he's in cahoots with him and lets him go free. And he turns up again when they're together, when they for some reason they all decide to wear their Klansman robe when they're hiding out. I don't understand. Again, I'm not privy to Klansmen and how they work. Maybe they like wearing the robes, but it seems a bit of a giveaway, So, but this character, he only really he was a cipher. He wasn't a person. He was somebody. He was somebody there to be a victim, and a victim. And it's such a shame because it's so close to being a good story. But okay, here's the problem I think with it. So I'm going to draw from a case of like real genuine racism that I'm dealing with right now. Now, this isn't real racism. No one's trying to lynch me from a tree. That's not going on. I know that there's no personal, but there is some ongoing racial abuse, I would say. Now, but the funny thing is, the person who's doing it isn't a racist. It's really mind blowing. But you've got to get into the rationale of people, and again, that's where the story is. So, okay, in England we have this general election going on. I don't live in England; I live in Israel now. In England, there's a general election going on, and the main left-wing party is completely anti-Semitic. It's just completely, openly anti-Semitic. The face of anti-Semitism. It's there's only them and the National Front, which is kind of like the Nazi party, who have ever been investigated by the Human Rights Commission for racism. I mean, it's like seriously anti-Semitic, and anti-Semitism, and they're anti-Semitic on a policy level. They chased all the Jews out of Labour, out of this party, and it's been tragic because I've had friends who have been lifelong Labour voters who had to leave because it's just not safe to be a Jew there. It's just, and the worst thing is if you tell the supporters of the guy in charge, Jeremy Corbyn, they go, no, you've been brainwashed by the media. You've been brainwashed by the Zionist organization. What, are you a Zionist? And then it's like with one breath, they go into this Jew hating narrative, and without even realizing it, and it's fascinating. So like I've been going back and forth with this guy, and I finally got insight into what's going on with him. So it's like, okay, so I think most moral people are appalled at human suffering, and there is indeed a lot of human suffering going on in, say, Gaza. Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. Um, and when your reporters out, you look to blame something. So the was it Hamas? Hamas is a virulently racist organization. They hate women. They hate Jews. They hate LGBTQ people. They hate anybody apart from their type of Muslim. And they really do. I mean, like, if you're gay and you're openly gay in Gaza, you get killed. That's the punishment for it. If you sell a house to a Jew, that's actually the Palestinian authority. You sell a house to a Jew, you get killed. They operate policies of ethnic cleansing. They are genuinely bad people. So they control the narrative, and so you have these like hand wringing Western liberals, and what they get from it, and so they have these hand wringing Western liberals, and so Hamas and these organizations. There's a Jewish concept. I'm going to make sense in a minute. There's a concept in Jewish philosophy called was it schar avera? What benefit do you get from doing something bad? Everybody who does something negative gets a benefit from it. Nobody does anything without a reason. So people support the Palestinian cause because they're appalled at the human suffering, but much more importantly, they get given a feeling of saintliness, they get to feel good about them. They get to feel enlightened. They get to feel like they're a white knight protecting a poor oppressed people. And don't get me wrong, these people are poor and oppressed, but they're poor and oppressed by Hamas, by the Palestinian Authority, and they've deliberately done that. So you get heartbreaking images of human suffering. So these hand-wringing liberals can then go, "Oh my God! Look at the suffering. It must be these people. These Jew-hating people telling me it's the Jews' fault. I'm gonna blame the Jews." And then they peddle something called blood libels, which is the oldest form of anti-Semitism, which is basically some kind of disparaging narrative that concerns Jews. So blood. So what they're getting at, and this is what David Lindelof is getting at as well, is this false feeling of elevation, this false feeling of saintliness, and it's disgusting. It's utterly disgusting. It's not. If anybody was to like focus at the this episode always Watchmen in general always makes me feel like this clip I seen of Candace Owens, who was a African American right-wing activist. She's incredibly articulate and literate, very good speaker. So there's this wonderful clip of her on, I think at some congressional hearing or something, where you have this blonde, white liberal woman lecturing her about white supremacy, which is a terrible thing affecting the African American community, and she just destroyed. And she did. So then Owens just destroys her, going, if I made a list of 100 things that were problematic with, I hate using the word now. See, it's only words they stole from. 100 things that are problematic about, the problems of the African American community. White supremacy probably wouldn't make the top 100. And according to, I think, FBI statistics, the KKK has something like 5,000 members. Like 5,000 members, and how big is America? Like 500 million people. It's an invisible dot on an invisible dot. But what this show does is give Damon Lindelof a sense of moral superiority, a sense of his own saintliness, and I believe him to be genuinely talented, but he's just so sucked into it, which is all of Hollywood is so sucked in it, and it's tragic. It's utterly tragic, because I really think there's a good story in there. I thought the idea of them using projectors to make racial violence, which is what the bad guys were doing, the KK, using a kind of a superhero, that was kind of interesting. But the execution is, if he made the characters real people, I want to know why these KKK people want to destroy Black America. What do they think they're going to do? And I want the choices for the characters to make sense. Like in the middle of the episode, it turns out this main character is gay. No, there was no vibe whatsoever up until was it Captain Metropolis gave him his card and touched his hand, that there was any indication whatsoever that he might be gay. And I think being gay is kind of pretty core to one's personality. I think it's like, not that they're mincing around, but like one's sexuality is a cornerstone of oneself. And so just to ignore it, to make us, it's disgusting. It's really disgusting, and it's just sad. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode of Watchmen. Yeah, again, really great ideas hiding in white liberal guilt racism. That it just hiding in there. Oh, it's so sad. So yeah, the only good thing is I kind of get the feeling. I kind of worked out why Alan Moore doesn't look at any adaptations of his stuff, because everything he sees that's adapted must be just heartbreaking for him. He sees the thing that he loved and he cherished bastardized and used by lesser minds than his, and most minds are lesser than his. It just must be terrible. So there you go. Right, if you want to see Alan Moore's films work, he did a thing called Showpieces, which is really disturbing and really good. It's what you would expect from Alan Moore. I think they filmed a whole movie or TV show from it, and I don't know when it's coming out. But anyway, if you want if you want to see something cinematic that's Alan Moore, that's what I would recommend. My name is Felix Becken, the Rabbi from Another Planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.